Hey everyone, Kirk Norbury here, and today I want to go through 5 of my favourite features in Lightroom Classic at the moment. I was about to say CC then. Some of these you've probably seen, you've probably heard of. Some of them are probably not heard of. They're a bit more rarer to find and I find them really beneficial to my work. So let's get straight into these. I'm just going to open up Lightroom Classic. I've got some images here for different things I want to go through. The first one being using the auto mask. So we're just going to go into the develop module, and I've got this yellow leaf here, and I want to be able to change the colour, the brightness of it, etc. So the best way to do that, open up the brush tool. And if you go down here, you've actually got the auto mask, which you can just use. Now, when I'm doing this, I make sure to click on the bottom left here, show the selected mask. You want to see where it's going. So what we'll do is we'll start going round the edge. And once my computer catches up with me, and what it's doing is it's staying between the lines of this yellow area. Now in some areas it's going to struggle, some areas it'll be better. It just varies on different images. So I'm just going to paint in the middle. So we can see it's just gone a few areas here that it shouldn't have. So if you press the space key and just zoom in and change it to erase, we can just go in and erase those unnecessary areas. Right, that's a lot better. So we just uncheck the selection so we can see the actual image. What you'll notice here is now we can actually play around with the actual image. So you make it really bright if you want. You could also change the white balance. You know, you can make it more warmer looking. So another feature that I like to do is sharpen my images for exporting them into the web. Now you can just go into and just whack up the sharpening slider and it'll just sharpen everything, but what I find is if you've got clouds or open areas where there's no detail, it will add sharpness to those areas and you don't really want that. So what you can do is if you go into the detail module, and on the bottom one here you've got masking. So that will actually show you what areas are going to be affected by the sharpening. So if you click Alt or Option, depending on what you're on, and just drag the slider, you can now see the areas in which will be sharpened. So all that sky, there's going to be sharpness added into the clouds. So really we want to pull that back until it's only affecting the rocks. Bring it back a bit because I remember there's some rocks in the foreground. And once you've got that, now you can apply the sharpening and see how it affects. You can also press Alt or Option for sharpening as well. And what that does is it puts the image into grayscale and you can see things a bit more in detail. I usually like to go back and forth between the sharpness so I can see the difference that it's having on the image. Yeah, that looks quite nice. A large, nice detail in the rocks just here. So that's one really handy little tool for making sure your sharpness is in the right areas. I love playing around with colours in Lightroom and changing them to different looks and styles and just completely changing the colour. So this image is really good for that. Now generally you can use the HSL sliders here. You can use the little dragging tool thing, and what you can do is you can actually just select onto a colour and drag it down to change. But the problem with that is you only have so much flexibility. You know, with this being quite red, the only colours you can go for is between very bright purple or a more yellowy orange colour, which is fine, but it's a bit limiting. So the best way to do it, if you want to really change the colour, is using the mask tool again. So we're just going to use that, change my size a bit, show the overlay. I'm just going to quickly go through the image and just select all of this red area. Hard to tell considering it's red, but I think it's got it. So I'm just going to uncheck it and just bring the saturation down so I can see it better. Now I can see the areas in which it still needs a bit of work. Right, so that's the area selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brighten it up a bit. And what you want to do is you want to click on this box here with the X on it so you can change the colour. So originally it was a red, so I could just click on here. And as you can see, we can go to any colour we want without affecting anywhere else in the scene. So you can select areas and change the exact colour you want, but if you get the colour in the bright area, you know this is the colour you want, you can then use a slider to change the opacity, the saturation of it, things like that. You know, if you want a nice blue. It's a really cool feature to use, and it's really beneficial of changing the colour in the scene. Obviously I would go in more detail and I would remove the mask from these lights and then just go in more detail, but you can see from here how good it is. So another good thing I find to do is if I'm working with a lot of images and they're from the same sequence, but the exposures are quite different because I'm shooting in like AV mode, for example. If you say copy the settings from one image and then apply it to the next shot, if that exposure was different, it'll actually appear darker or brighter. I'll show you what I mean. So I've got this one here. Say if I just bring the exposure down a little bit, like so, and these two images are from the same sequence. If I just paste from the previous settings, what it's done is this image is still the same because it's the same 50th of a second, but this one being at 80th of a second is actually a lot darker, so that's no help at all. So the thing you want to do is click the image that you want to be working on, so this one here, go to the film strip, select the images so it will know that the first image is the main image. Then you want to go up to settings and match tonal exposures. So if we go back to the grid, you can see that this third image is now exactly the same. Really cool feature to make sure your images are all at the same exposure. I love having a vintage look on my images, and one of the main ways of doing that is giving it a sort of faded look, you know, just like you used to see on film. Now it's not easy to do on images in Lightroom, but I'm going to show you the best way I find to do it. So what you want to do is you want to go down to tone curve. The best way I find is creating an S curve with multiple points. So I'm just going to add the points, so I'm going to add about a few like that. What this does is it just keeps the line quite straight. Now to create the faded look, what you want to be doing is bringing this final point, this very bottom point, higher. Like so, and you can see in the blacks here, you've already got that faded look. So now you can adjust it but you can also play around with the contrast just here. And you can see it's already getting that look. Sometimes I like to bring the white top one down as well, and what that does is it just softens any bright white areas as well. So this is a really cool way to add the faded look that you see on Instagram filters or Visco or things like that. So just creating a bit of a curve and making sure you bring up that very bottom point just adds that nice bit of fade. You can try and do it with the sliders, but it's more difficult, I find, and the curve is the best way of doing this. So I hope you enjoyed this quick little video in Lightroom and some features that I'm really enjoying using at the moment. Make sure to check out my other videos. I'm doing quite a few Lightroom videos at the moment. So thanks for watching and see you later.